All right, thanks for dropping by. This is part 2 of modeling my friend's desk lamp, and in part 1 this is the progress that we made so far. And now what I want to do is work on the bulb housing, all right, which is this stuff. All right, now there's a piece of metal inside here that holds the bulb. And then there's this piece that has to have a similar shape. And then there is the rest of this dome. And we'll do these pieces right here later on. Okay, so we'll do some of the work right now on that. Now, I want this bulb housing to be centered with respect to these two arms. And right now I have a mirror on them. And although I kind of would like to keep that, so I think what I'll do is I'm going to choose that piece right there, and I'm going to set the origin to geometry. Actually, let's make sure we're in median point, okay, in case we weren't from last time when I rotated these. And I'm going to go Shift S, cursor to selected. So my 3D cursor should be right in the middle of everything. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead, Shift A, and I'm going to bring in a UV sphere, and I'm just going to use the default values, should be the same as the one we brought in that time, but I'm going to rotate RX 90 so that it faces us, and I'm going to bring it up to near the top. Okay, so now let's go into edit mode and wireframe, and I'm going to switch to vertex. I could have done that down there. And I'm going to use B, and I'm going to box or border select all these lower vertices so I leave the horizontal one and the rest of it. Not that. X, delete vertices. So I just have that half of it. Okay. Now I'm going to do some work on the back of this. So 1 is the front and Control 1 is the back. So there, I'm looking at the back of it. I'll go back into solid view, and I'm going to switch into face selection, and by the way, I'm just doing Control Tab to bring up this selection mode. You can do it down here, and I am going to select, I'm going to hit C for, I guess it's paint select, and I'm going to just hold down the left mouse button and paint over these like that. Hit escape to drop that tool and have a look. I think I want another row, so I'm going to hit C, and it'll just add to my selection. There, just like that. Escape and hit 3 to look from the side. Now, I want this to be a flat end, straight line, like you can see in here. This is flat. This is the area that I'm making right now. So I am going to scale all this with respect to the y-axis. All right, imagine if this was a graph and this was the z and the y. We're used to x and y, but imagine that. So we're going to scale everything to y0. Yes, y0, like that. And then I get this effect. I'm then going to push this in to sort of maintain the curvature. Let's have a look and see if that's enough. I think that is enough. Just like that. Okay? All right, so now with that done, we're going to look underneath this here. I'm going to hit A to select everything, and I am going to go W, subdivide smooth, to add some more geometry. That's going to help with these ends here that tend to have a sort of a stretched look, and I want to give this some thickness to this, and the way I'm going to do this is with it all selected, I'm going to hit E to extrude and Alt S, and I am going to push up a little like that. That's good enough. Now you'll notice that it's sort of darkened here. It's because I extruded inwards instead of outwards, so I'm going to select it all and go Control N, and that will flip the polys. All right, so it looks like this. Now we're going to add some edge loops because I'm going to be adding a subdivision surface, and we're going to need them. So I'm going to come to this top row all across here, and I'm going to go Control R, click, and I'm going to drag an edge loop close to the inner line, and Control R, and I'm going to do one right there. I'm also going to do one on this side, Control R, and bring it up near the top, and on the other side, Control R, and do it to there. Now that's good enough for the moment. Let's go ahead and hit smoothing, and you'll see we have some weirdness going on here, but if we then add our subdivision surface of, let's say 2, and that's a lot of polys, but then it's looking okay so far. A little bit more work we can do here. If we come right in, Control R down near the bottom and pull it near there, and one more here, we should get a reasonably nice edge. Okay? And that's good enough. Any other little imperfections we're not going to see. Okay, cool. So we got that. Now we need to create this piece here, this metal piece here that sort of either extends from it or fits over it. I'm going to do it as a separate piece, and it should look okay. All right, so what I'm going to do is, with that selected, I'm going to go Shift S, cursor to selected. I'm going to go Shift A, mesh, and bring in a circle. And right now it's roughly the same size because I didn't change the default size of this. I'm just going to use the default number of vertices, and I'm going to go into edit mode, and I'll switch to vertex so it's easier to see. I'm going to hit E to extrude and S, and I'm going to pull out a ways like that. Okay. I'm now going to select these vertices here. This one is okay, it's in line, and that one's okay, I think. And I'm going to bring these in just, you know what, maybe I will grab those two as well. I bring them in, it's going to look kind of weird. Now I'm going to scale these in the Y to make this a straight line. I'm going to go SY0, and then I'm going to pull them back until I just start to see that like that. You can do this from in any direction, and you can make it a little bit nicer. Let's say like that. Okay, let's go back the solid view, and let's go back and look at the right there. I'm going to hit A to select it all, E, and I'm going to give it some thickness like this, but I get some discoloration. That just means my polys are flipped, so I'm going to select it all and Control N like that. Now I'm going to be putting a subdivision surface on this and scaling it a bit, so I know I need some edge loops, and I know where I'm going to need one up, and I'm going to need one down. I'm going to need them on the top, going in like this, and on the top going out like that, and we'll also need them on the inside, up and down. And that should be all of the edge loops we need. Let's now add subdivision surface of 2 and hit smoothing, and we have that. Now let's move this, let's look from say 1. Well, it didn't help us too much. We're kind of upside down working on this, and I'm going to take this and I'm going to scale it in so we don't see that edge just to there, and that's going to be just fine for what we're doing, I would think. Anyhow, I could take it down a little bit more. Okay, fine. All right, now let's make the glass. Okay, keeping in mind that if we look at this light, it's going to be like this. All right, there's the front. All right, there's the light. All right, we're going to have this piece here, and we'll have something sticking off there, the bulb. Okay, so let's make the glass that you see right there. Okay, and let's just turn it around again. The way that I'm going to do this to get it the same shape is I'm going to build it off of this. I have here edges that I could use if I take the right one. So I'm going to shift and click on, say, this edge, which was the original outer edge. And then I brought an edge loop up to there and an edge loop into there. So I'm going to take that and I'm going to go Shift D to make a copy and P to make it an object on its own. Go back into object mode, select that, and set origin to geometry. Okay, so we don't lose it. I can bring it up. So that's what we have. Back in edit mode, select it all. We have all these vertices. I want to fill that. The way I'm going to fill it nicely so I can do a subdivision surface is I'm going to hit Mesh, Faces, Grid Fill. And I'm just going to leave the default values for that. And that's fine. And I'm going to hit E to extrude, and I'm going to bring it up. And I get that discoloration. So select it all, Control N to flip the normals, and add an edge loop down, Control R, and add an edge loop up, and hit smoothing. I can adjust the thickness and the size. I will probably make it a little bit bigger than the hole, but there is our glass for later on. Cool. All right, let's look from front view now. and you can see what we've got. That's fine. Let's bring in another UV sphere. We're looking at the front, and I want to make the dome that fits, that is really the outside of the top of the lamp. All right, this stuff is going to go on the inside, so I'm going to select that, and I'm going to go into edit mode and wireframe and do it in vertex mode. Box select and delete the bottom half. So I've got just that. Select it, and now I can hit S to scale, and I can bring it out so that it's bigger than the stuff on the inside, and I'm going to give some thickness. You can see my inside stuff comes up to here, and I've got some space here. I got a little space down there, and I can pull it down a small amount. All right, so I have more here. Okay, let's turn it over. Let's go into solid view, leave it selected, and we have this. All right, I'm going to give it some thickness. I'm going to hit E to extrude and Alt S and push in like that. I'm going to need to flip my polys, Control N, done. Let's add some edge loops because we'll put a subdivision surface on this. Let's go on this part, Control R, and pull towards the inside and towards the outside. Let's go on the inside and bring one up to near there. And the one on the outside, I don't want to affect the curvature. I'm not going to go Control R, put one in, and then drag it. Instead, I'll hit GG, and then I'll drag like that. Okay, so I should not affect the curvature. All right, at this point, I'm going to go ahead and add subdivision surface 2 and smoothing. And you can see I've got my outer shell right there. And if I come up here, you may see this pulling, this sort of pull pattern. I'm going to go back into edit mode and select it all. W, subdivide smooth, adds a lot more geometry, and that pretty much gets rid of that. And I have my edge loops to maintain the shape. All right, so now I have that, and if I have a look over here, okay, this is how the lamp would look so far. Okay, and of course this stuff will all be moved. Let's select that and this and this, and see if I can get on the inside. Nah, maybe I can't. Let's move the glass down that way so I can select the inner part, the rim, that. Let's look from the front, actually from the side, and let's push it forward and imagine that it would be there. I can take the glass and move it back up. Okay, so we would have the head of the lamp there. And yeah, that's it for the moment. Okay, so let's just leave it at that, and then we'll come back in the next time and we'll do some more work on that. Okay, see you soon.